After losing my husband right after we got married, I raised Leo all by myself. One day, Leo introduced me to his fiancée, Mia. She acts sweet in front of Leo, but when it's just the two of us, she looks down on me and does whatever she wants. I felt anxious about whether it was okay for him to marry such a woman, but the day for the families to meet finally arrived. When I met Mia and her parents in a private room of a fancy restaurant, for some reason, they all smirked at me. Then, my appetizer never arrived. When I looked puzzled, his mother-in-law said, "You don't get one." "What?" "You wouldn't appreciate the taste of fine dining anyway, being poor." "Exactly. Serving someone who dropped out of college would only lower the restaurant standards." Mia and her parents shared a vulgar laugh. "Let's eat, Leo. A treat for the new family." Leo sighed and said, "Mom, let's go home." "Okay." I clenched my fists on my lap, looking at Leo with a sad expression. Unforgivable. If they think I'll just stay quiet forever, they're sorely mistaken. My name is Sloane, a 50-year-old housewife. I've been raising Leo on my own. Because my husband suddenly passed away from illness in our 4th year of marriage. My parents are alive but live in a rural area in another state, and it's difficult to rely on them as they live with my sister-in-law. I didn't fit in the college and dropped out, leading a life as a part-time worker. I didn't want to rely on my parents because I caused them worry at that time. My husband's parents live nearby, but they're elderly and hard to rely on. We paid off the mortgage with my husband's life insurance, but I still needed money for education and savings for retirement. To survive just by me and my son, I worked tirelessly. Perhaps because he saw my efforts, Leo grew up to be an honest and kind person. Eventually, Leo got a job and brought his fiancée home. However, my initial happiness quickly faded. I realized his fiancée and her parents were nothing but trouble. She's a beautiful and capable woman, really amazing. She is also kind and dependable. Since we're on the same team, she's helped me out a lot. I want to introduce her to Mom. Leo said. When I asked, "What's she like?" Leo answered with a shy smile. With such high praise, expectations were inevitably raised. Upon meeting her, indeed, she was the kind of graceful and cute girl Leo would fall for. "Nice to meet you. My name is Mia Kirk," she said greatly. Her pink floral dress matched her clear voice and fair skin perfectly. She brought a high-end fruit pound cake as a gift. "Oh, I prepared something too. Looks like we had the same idea," I said as I served Mia a slice of banana pound cake and tea on the living room sofa. Mia slightly frowned. "It's okay. I love it," Leo said with a smile, offering some to Mia next to him. "My mom's baking is really good." "Are you good at cooking?" "Just baking," I corrected it with a laugh. "It's a nice break during work." "It's fun." Mia narrowed her eyes. After a while chatting about how they got to know each other at work, Mia looked around the room and brightly said, "Leo's house is so cozy. It's small, right? The yard is tiny too." Leo laughed without a care. "Mom, Mia's family home is a mansion with 6 bedrooms and a living room, sitting on a huge lot with parking for 5 cars, and the garden's like a park, big and beautiful." "Wow, that's impressive," I exclaimed in admiration. "Well, but for just me, this size is plenty." "That's true. Hiring a housekeeper would be a hassle," Mia said with a smile, to which I posed a question. "Is your father the president of the Kirk Group, the restaurant chain?" Mia's expression brightened instantly. "Yes, that's right. My maternal grandfather was the founder, and my father married into the family." "You're well informed." "I used to work part-time there." "Ah, I see," Mia said with a meaningful smile. "So, you're a corporate heiress." "Oh no, it's nothing as grand as that," she said, waving her hands in front of her face modestly. "I went to the same all-girls school from middle school through college, just like my mother." So, it was hard for me to get used to men when I entered the workforce. Mia said with a shy smile, her genteel demeanor evident. She clearly comes from a well-bred background. Does this mean Leo is expected to be on her family's side? While I was pondering this, Leo's phone rang. After checking the caller, Leo excused himself and took the call. Sorry, I'm doing a family meeting. Can we talk about work later? What? Leo's face went pale. Okay, got it. Wait a moment. After hanging up, he apologized. Sorry, it looks like a coworker at work made a mistake. Mia, could you wait here while I pop into the office? I'll be right back. Mia was momentarily surprised, but quickly smiled. Understood. Be careful out there. Thanks. I'll be back soon, Mom. As Leo left the house with his commuter bag in hand, the two of us left behind exchanged awkward smiles. Spending time alone with someone you've just met is quite the hurdle. Especially as mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. As I was feeling at a loss, Mia stood up, grabbing a tray with tea and pound cake on it. Where do you throw the garbage? Huh? The trash can is at the corner of the kitchen. Ignoring my puzzled look, Mia hurried to the kitchen. Curious, I followed her and saw her throw my homemade cake into the trash can. She then spilled the tea into the sink and roughly placed the empty dishes on the counter. Shocked by her actions, she turned to me with a cold voice, a complete change from earlier. How could I possibly accept something this awful? Homemade cake, how tacky. She found a tea package in the cupboard and scoffed. Unlike you commoners, I can only drink tea that's served to the British royal family. It's suffocating enough in this cramped house without having to deal with this kind of food and drink. I feel like I'm gonna puke. Leaving me in the kitchen, she stormed back to the living room. When I followed her back, I found Mia taking pictures of our home's interior and sending them to her parents. Oh, my mom and dad find it hilarious too. Look, look. I couldn't believe the messages on her phone. Commoners' home decor, so funny. Can people really live in such a cramped space? Amazing. Hey, can I take a picture of the garden too? You don't need a gardener, so it must be easy to maintain, right? I'm jealous. Until Leo returned, Mia kept mockingly enjoying our way of living. It seems Mia dislikes me. Looking down on me for being a commoner. Despite mocking everything during her visit, Mia seemed genuinely interested in marrying Leo, bombarding me with questions. I want to give Leo a watch for his birthday. Does he have a favorite brand? What does he dislike? We're planning a picnic this weekend. Her thick-skinned inquiries were appalling, but I didn't want to disturb them, so I kindly answered her each time. Then, one day, Mia called me. Leo's been asked to be the reunion committee chair for his high school. He wanted to check his yearbook at his house, but suddenly got swamped with work and asked if I could pick it up instead. The thought of her visiting again made me internally sigh, but I agreed. This time, to avoid any complaints, I prepared high-end tea and traditional sweets from a well-established maker, only to find Mia had brought her mother along. Nice to meet you, I'm Mia's mom. She introduced herself with permed long hair, heavy makeup, and a strong perfume scent, looking much younger than her age. Mia, why did you bring your mother too? I asked, puzzled. She replied as if it were the most natural thing. Mom wanted to see what a commoner's small house looks like. Sorry for barging in on you like this. Her mother said with a smirk. A 4-bedroom house, right? You know, all my friends live in high-rise condos or in upscale neighborhoods. Hearing about it from Mia, I just had to see this compact home with my own eyes. I was at a loss for words listening to her. Mia was grinning beside her mother, enjoying the commentary. What did these two think of other people's homes? Annoyed but not wanting to cause trouble, I let Mia and her mother into my home. As expected, they started snooping around the house with little regard for their original purpose. Opening cabinets in the bathroom, toilet, and hallway without my permission, and exclaiming in wonder. Oh, this bathtub doesn't even have a jacuzzi? And it's so tiny. You can't relax here at all, Mia's mother commented. Is that so? I forced a smile, feeling my cheeks twitch. This yard is smaller than our foyer. Is there even a point to having it? Too big, and it's hard to manage. Ah, I can't afford a gardener, I see. Well, that can't be helped then. After thoroughly criticizing everything, Mia and her mother then sat in the living room, enjoying tea and snacks while happily sharing their thoughts. I was terrified to see what kind of dump Leo grew up in, but it was better than I expected. But it really must be cramped. Mia protested, and her mother chastised her. Well, yes, but calling it a doghouse is a bit much. Our Carlos's room is a bit smaller than this house. Ah, right. I was trying desperately to contain my anger at Mia and her mother's freewheeling insults, and then the two stood up and smiled at me. It was fun to see something so unique. Good way to kill some time, right, Mom? I wouldn't want to live here, but visiting sometimes isn't so bad. Mia remarked. I hate living with a daughter-in-law like her. Swallowing the words I wanted to say, I forced a smile. I'm glad you enjoyed your visit. Don't forget the high school yearbook Leo asked for. Sure, got it right here. Mia said, clutching the yearbook I had retrieved from Leo's bookshelf, before leaving with her mother. After they left, I collapsed onto the sofa, overwhelmed by a sudden wave of exhaustion. Leo, being honest and straightforward, probably got easily fooled by her charming facade. Marrying someone like her, is it really going to be okay? Filled with anxiety yet hesitating to bring it up, thinking about how hurt Leo would be if he discovered Mia's true nature, days just passed by aimlessly. Then, one day, I received a message from Leo. I want to have a meeting with both families at the end of the month. How's your schedule, Mom? The weekend's open. I'm free whenever. Suddenly curious, I had to ask. You've already met Mia's mom, haven't you? Yeah. She seemed nice and cheerful. Is that so? It seems both mother and daughter put on a facade in front of Leo. Shortly after our call, I received a message with the date and time for the meeting, along with the name of a high-end restaurant, complete with a photo. I decided to book a hair appointment and face the meeting in a new suit. As the day approached, my anxiety swelled. Is it really okay to let my precious son marry such a person? Her mother had already belittled me considerably. Surely, her father would be the same. In an effort to ease my restlessness even slightly, I embarked on a certain plan. On the day of the meeting, when Leo and I arrived at the restaurant, Mia was waiting outside with her parents. Mia, at first glance, appeared as a demure young lady. Her mother, with perfectly applied makeup, exuded an elegant aura. Meeting his father-in-law for the first time, he was a tall man with handsome features. Greeting Leo and me warmly, I couldn't help but feel he looked down on me internally. Led by the waitress, we moved to a private room, fitting for a pre-wedding meeting. There were nice lights on the side. The meeting began smoothly under his father-in-law's lead, but soon I felt uncomfortable. This was because Mia, her father, and mother kept interrupting Leo's introduction of his family. My mother lost my father after 4 years of marriage. Since then, she raised me all by herself. Such a boring story doesn't matter. Look, Mom. Mia interrupted, proudly showing off her engagement ring to her parents. Joining in, her parents laughed and exclaimed, "Oh, it's Mia's favorite brand for the engagement ring. Mia is so loved." Her father, with his arms crossed, spoke proudly as if it were his own achievement. I heard Leo was a rising star when I did business with his company. He's a lead at such a young age, right? I'm quite proud of myself. No, the recent project just happened to go well, thanks to advice from my mom. Leaning forward, his mother-in-law interjected. You're a cut above the rest among the young employees at the headquarters, right? On the fast track to elite status. Mia, you've caught yourself a good one. Right? He is from a top university. Leo's a perfect match for a corporate heiress like me. Her father, somewhat bemused by Leo, put his arm around him and laughed heartily. I couldn't trust you with my legacy. How about being on my family's side? Leo Kirk sounds so cool. Much better than your family name. In other words, he's my son. I've always wanted a handsome and brilliant son. I'm so happy. Mia and her parents completely ignored me, getting excited as if I wasn't even there. Is there any point in me being here? Just as I was starting to feel offended, the food arrived. A brief distraction provided. However, my relief was short-lived. The appetizers were served only in front of Mia, her parents, and Leo. Then, the stew and steak followed, but again, there was a noticeable gap in front of me. Excuse me, is my meal coming? I asked the waitress who brought the bread and soup, but she avoided my gaze with an uncomfortable expression and quickly retreated. Confused, I was bluntly informed by his mother-in-law. You don't have a meal. What? We only ordered for 4. A poor person like you wouldn't appreciate the taste of this cuisine, she said smugly. Exactly. Serving someone who dropped out of college this kind of food would lower the restaurant standards, Mia added, laughing along with her father. Come on, Leo, let's eat. A feast with the new family. Hearing this, Leo, with a strained face, sighed. Mom, let's go home. Okay. Oh no, Leo, you can't leave. You're the main guest. His mother-in-law interjected, trying to stop him as he stood up. The only one we'd like to leave is that dropout. Exactly. The food will taste bad. I clenched my fists in my lap, unable to contain my anger any longer. I decided to reveal everything. They are sorely mistaken if they think I'll always stay quiet. I stood up, appealing to Leo with my eyes. Leo nodded silently, so I gripped the voice recorder I had secretly taken out of my bag. In fact, on the way to the restaurant in the car, I had confided to Leo about everything Mia and her mother had done to me up until now. When Leo sat back down at the table, his mother-in-law showed a sigh of relief. Leo, you're not leaving us. That's right, you're going to be our son from now on. Mom, don't get too clingy. Leo is going to be my husband. Mia complained with her mother, who tried to hug Leo. It's okay, Mia. You have other favorites, I said with a forced smile, causing her to stiffen. What are you talking about? Oh, you know what I mean. I replied and laid the voice recorder on the table, pressing play in front of Mia and her father. Suddenly, loud music unfit for the upscale restaurant and cheers filled the room. Hank, don't look at other women. Hey, don't you dare make eyes at Hank. He's mine, you know. Yes, this was audio obtained from a nightclub. As his mother-in-law turned pale, I mentally celebrated and continued to play the audio. Mrs. Kirk, you might be drinking a bit too much. And, about the bill, is it okay? This is the 4th champagne bottle this month. I'm happy, though. It's okay, I'll have my nephew pick me up. Her slurred speech responded. My nephew is the head of accounting, so he'll cover this month's payment as entertainment expenses. It's nice to have an obedient subordinate, she boasted, even in her drunken state. The recklessness of discussing such matters publicly was astonishing every time I heard it. The obsession with nightclubs could dull judgment to this extent, a frightening thought. For your birthday next month, I'll buy you an Italian car and a Swiss luxury watch, so let's go on another date outside the club. Her sickly sweet way of speaking was truly nauseating. Hank looked bewildered by the proposition. I don't mind the dates. But you've been giving me gifts almost every week, is that okay? Don't be shy, Hank. She continued in a slurred voice. I'm the vice president of the Kirk Group. I can spend as much money as I want. I inherited the company from my father, after all. Her husband's face twitched. The friendly smile disappeared, replaced by anger in his eyes. Though my husband is the president, he's just a figurehead since he's a son-in-law. Essentially, the company's money is mine. I won't let anyone complain. Is that so? Your ride is here. Hank's voice mixed with relief. Sorry for the trouble as always. Let's go. That's when I turned off the voice recorder. Hey, what is this? Angrily, his father-in-law asked in a low, furious voice. You've been going to nightclubs at 60? How shameful. I'm only 58. A little fun never hurt anyone. His mother-in-law quickly retorted. Why do you have such a recording? Turning her frustration towards me, Leo calmly answered, Hank is the son of one of my mom's acquaintances. Hank is the son of one of my mom's acquaintances. What? His mother-in-law's eyes widened. I heard from an acquaintance before. There's an older client who demands gifts in return, causing trouble. It's been hard to refuse her. Recently, we found out it was Mia's mom, so I asked Hank to record their conversation. I thought by letting Mia listen, she could advise her mom to refrain from visiting. His father-in-law's face turned crimson up to his neck, furiously berating his mother-in-law. If the media gets wind of this, we'll be the laughingstock. Think about your age. Then his mother-in-law smirked. You think I don't know? You've been doing whatever you want too. What? His father-in-law's cheeks tensed. Don't play dumb. Buying an apartment for a young girl and paying for her living expenses, aren't you? She showed us her phone, which not only his father-in-law and Mia saw, but also Leo and I. The message screen displayed provocatively, Your husband wants to divorce the old and marry me. What should I do, along with a photo of a man and woman lying together on a bed. When I had it investigated, it turns out he's been pretending to work but spends half the week at that apartment. Claims he's golfing on weekends but actually goes on trips with this woman. Don't joke with me. She threw her phone across the room, screaming. This woman is getting all high and mighty. If you have money to play around, you better give more to me. Who do you think got you your position? You're just too noisy, you know. He responded with a thunderous voice. Mocking me for being a son-in-law every chance you get. It's not thanks to you, the real credit goes to your father. Just because you were born into a rich family, don't strut around like you own the place, it's disgraceful. The noise must have leaked outside the room. A waitress came by with a grim face, peeked through the door slightly, then quickly withdrew. Perhaps deciding that intervening would only escalate the situation. The meal for 4 remained untouched on the table, growing cold. I'm sorry, Leo. Mia said, looking dejected amid her quarreling parents. My parents are like this, but my feelings for you are real. She gently took Leo's hand, looked up at him with moist eyes, and pleaded in a cloying tone. Please, marry me. Leo smiled wryly and replied. Sorry, but I have to decline. Mia's eyes widened in shock. What? Why? Well, you don't really love me, do you? She said with a self-deprecating smile. No, Leo, that's not true. I love you. Do you want me to say it in front of everyone? Oh, you're so cute. Mia cooed, writhing in her seat, to which he firmly responded. 10, no, 20 people? You've also been hitting on juniors from different departments, haven't you? What? I don't know what you're talking about. Mia's face paled as Leo played a recording from his phone. The in-laws paused their arguing to watch how things unfolded. Yes. Mia Kirk kept pressuring me during overtime. She confessed, but when I said I had a girlfriend and refused, she got mad. She said she's a better woman and I should choose her. I was invited on an overnight trip. When I asked if you were engaged to Leo, I was yelled at. A little cheating is fine. When I mentioned I was taking turns caring for our baby with my wife, I was pressed for a relationship. How about it for a change of pace? I didn't understand. As these testimonies emerged, Mia froze. I told them to keep quiet, yet they consulted Leo. Mia muttered resentfully after a moment of silence. I heard from a superior the other day. The juniors were troubled because they couldn't talk to me about it. That's why I recorded their stories, planning to confront you. Leo continued in an even tone. Mia, you were indifferent to me when I first joined the company. Yet, a year ago, after you invited me out for dinner, you aggressively pursued me. While I was flattered, it felt odd. That's because I suddenly fell for Leo. That's how love works, right? You were interested in my position, weren't you? He said with a sad smile. Even after hearing these testimonies, I wanted to believe in you, Mia. But seeing your behavior towards my mom today, my feelings have completely cooled. Seeing Mia flustered, her parents lamented loudly. You're so clumsy. Leo is a promising elite, so marrying him would benefit our company. We told you to win him over. But Leo is too serious, it's boring. Mia pouted. I'm cute, so I should be allowed to have some fun, right? Then you should go to nightclubs. It's bound to get out if it involves company people. I massaged my temples at their absurd exchange. Such an awful bunch, together. The father-in-law, with an imposing tone, broke the silence. Hey, you're not saying you'll call off the marriage, right? The mother-in-law also stared at Leo earnestly, trying to persuade him. Marrying Mia means you'll take over our group, and of course, you'll be involved in new projects aimed at overseas markets. You're highly regarded at the headquarters, aren't you, Leo? This is already decided. You wouldn't make the foolish mistake of turning down such a good marriage proposal, would you, Leo? Mia tried desperately to win Leo over. I'm talking about entrusting you with the important company I inherited from my father. Do you realize how honorable that is? Leo and I exchanged looks and shrugged in resignation. Given your behavior so far, it doesn't seem like you care much about the company. What do you mean by that? Rather than explaining, it's quicker to just listen to this. I said, placing the voice recorder on the table and playing the continuation of the nightclub conversation. Maybe you should take a break from coming here. No! I can't let Hank be taken by another woman. That's not good. The executive director is getting suspicious. The accounting manager said in a feeble voice. If they find out you've been embezzling company money, you'll be fired as vice president. And I'll be fired for overlooking it. It's okay. All our board members are idiots, they won't notice. You embezzled company money? Glared at by his father-in-law with a terrifying expression, even his mother-in-law turned pale. Mia also looked at her mother amazingly. After gaping for a moment, his mother-in-law glared at me and started yelling. This was a conversation in the car on the way back, wasn't it? How did you get your hands on it? The accounting manager recorded it on his phone. My revelation made his mother-in-law blink. You know my nephew? Not the accounting manager, but I got acquainted with another executive through work. I explained to his bewildered mother-in-law. A while back, I saw him looking troubled and asked why. He confided that the accounting manager had revealed the embezzlement to him. His mother-in-law's eyes bulged. He spilled the beans himself? His sudden resignation wasn't for health reasons then. He couldn't bear the guilt anymore. Once the evidence is gathered, you'll be fired as vice president too. With a look of frustration, his mother-in-law ground her teeth as his father-in-law and Mia made uncomfortable faces. Spending the company's money on nightclubs, what a foolish woman. Mom, that's the worst. That's going to be my company eventually. Be quiet. His mother-in-law snapped back. If you had given me more freedom with the money, I would have managed within my allowance. It's not my fault, it's yours and the board's. She then glared at Mia, scolding her. It's because Mia is so foolish that we even thought of getting another person. If we left it to Mia, she'd run the company into the ground in no time. Mom, that's awful. Ah, I see. I interjected, capturing the attention of Mia and her parents. Mia joining the company wasn't to gain work experience, but to find a husband. What's wrong with that? Someone like you, with your low education and poverty, wouldn't understand our struggles. I retorted with a smile. Well, I don't understand, do I? You're going to have a tough time from here on out, but good luck. Probably, by the time I gave up on you, the company was already doomed. How dare you speak so arrogantly? Who do you think you are? His mother-in-law exploded. We have a famous investor backing us, so we're safe. We don't need your concern. Then, Leo, with a thin smile, turned to me. When you took over the company, you wondered if the second generation would be okay, deciding to watch and wait, right, Mom? Yes. I thought we'd see how things went. But it didn't last 10 years, did it? I said firmly, surveying Mia and her parents. Today's meeting was the final straw. I'm pulling out. Hey, what are you talking about? It's about my job. You interrupted so much during the family introduction that I never got to talk about it. Leo explained. The in-laws exchanged looks, gasping in shock. Impossible. A dropout and a poor person like you couldn't possibly work in a job that requires intellect, like trading. Sorry to disappoint. I may have dropped out of college because I didn't fit in, but life opens up depending on the effort you put in afterward. I firmly stated. I saved money from part-time jobs to study asset management. Now, I release videos about finance and have even published a manual. I operate under a channel name, so those who aren't subscribers don't know my face. Showing them a video on my phone, Mia and her parents stared at me as if they could bore holes through my face. This can't be true. You've ridiculed me enough. But I suppose I've led a much more proper life compared to you all, haven't I? I said, smiling as the three of them shrank back, looking guilty. Let's go home, Leo. Wait, please! Mia stopped us. And then her parents said, We're truly sorry for all the disrespectful things we've said. Leo, please reconsider. Mia clung to Leo's arm, desperately begging in a coaxing voice. I'll break it off with the guy I'm cheating with, I promise. You're cheating? Leo couldn't help but half smile, feeling no love from Mia. Her parents joined her plea. Please, let us do this meeting again on another day. I refuse. Leo said coldly, pushing her away. I won't claim any compensation for my mistaken judgment. But let's not meet again. And please, don't talk to me at the company. Oh no! Suddenly, Mia's mother stood up, rushed at Leo, and yelled at him with a demonic expression. You dare refuse this marriage proposal, son of a poor man. You should be grateful just to be considered. Hey, knock it off! The father-in-law intervened, trying to stop the commotion but was shrugged off as they continued to berate Leo loudly. Being topical can set us apart from rival stores. Marry my daughter, become the manager of our main store, and contribute to our company. Please, stop. Mom, that's enough. Stop it. The landlady, who appeared due to the noise, advised us with a bitter expression. Could you please be a bit quieter? You're disturbing the others. How dare you? Who do you think I am? Don't you order me around. The manager of the restaurant retreated with a stern look. As we were trying to calm down the mother-in-law, police officers arrived and announced. You're under arrest for obstructing business. What? I haven't done anything. We've received complaints from other customers about the noise. The officers restrained the struggling mother-in-law and escorted her out of the crowded restaurant to the police car. The father-in-law and Mia went to the police station for an explanation, leaving us to apologize to the restaurant. Since it was her first offense, the mother-in-law was let off with just a stern warning from the restaurant. However, the embezzlement and spending on nightclubs were widely reported on TV and the internet, becoming well known. Eventually, the restaurant's patronage plummeted, leading several outlets to close due to financial distress, and the company went bankrupt 6 months later. Currently, the father-in-law and relatives are scrambling for funds to rebuild. The mother-in-law, having lost trust from relatives due to the embezzlement and faced with divorce from her husband, ended up with half the assets in the divorce settlement. But had to use it to repay the embezzled funds, leaving her without disposable income. Forbidden from visiting nightclubs and unable to live lavishly as before, she has aged significantly, I heard. The mother-in-law, now cohabitating with Mia in an apartment, has fallen out over the broken engagement, leading to daily arguments. Mia, having aggressively pursued multiple employees, was reprimanded by her superior and submitted her resignation. Her job hopping, due to being recognized, has made it difficult for her to find steady work. The broken engagement left Leo disheartened for a while, but he seemed to have gotten over it as he threw himself into his work. Being adored by his boss and beloved by colleagues and juniors, Leo was entrusted with significant projects, advancing smoothly on his career path. Still, as a mother, his health is my top priority. I hope he doesn't overwork. Though this incident hurt me, realizing the true nature of the other party before marriage is something I've chosen to view positively. I'm patiently waiting for the day Leo introduces me to a young lady who is both beautiful inside and out.